is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the kingdom of our father David that is to come.
The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this on your own, or have others told you about me?" Pilate answered, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your nation and the chief priests handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom did belong to this world, my attendants would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not here." So Pilate said to him, "Then you are a king." Jesus answered, "You say I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." The Gospel of the Lord. I'd like to begin this morning by sharing with you a story titled "The Journey of Truth and Story." Truth walked into a village. The local inhabitants started cursing at him, calling him names. They chased him out of the village. Truth walked along down the road to the next town. They spit at him and cursed, again driving him out of the town. He walked, lonely and sad, down an empty road till he reached the next town, still hoping to find someone who was happy to see him, who would embrace him with open arms. So Truth walked into a third town, this time in the middle of the night, hoping that in the morning the townsfolk would welcome him with fresh eyes. However, as soon as the townsfolk saw Truth, they ran into their homes and came back throwing garbage at him. Truth ran off out of the town into the woods, and after crying and clearing off the garbage, returned to the edge of the woods, where he heard laughter and singing. He saw the townsfolk applauding as Story entered the town. They brought out fresh meats and soups, pies and pastries, and offered them all to the newcomer, Story, who smiled and lavished in their love and appreciation. Come twilight, Truth was sulking and sobbing at the edge of the woods. The townsfolk disdainfully ignored him. But Story came to see what was wrong. Truth told Story how all the townsfolk mistreated him, how sad and lonely he was, how much he wanted to be accepted. Story replied, "Of course they reject you." Story looked at Truth eyes lowered a bit to the side, and said, "No one wants to look at the naked truth." The story gave Truth brilliant, beautiful clothing to wear, and they walked into town together. Truth and Story together. And the townspeople greeted them with warmth and love and appreciation, for Truth, wrapped in Story's clothing, is a beautiful thing and easy to behold. And ever since then, Truth travels with Story, where together they are accepted and loved. To me, the moral of the story is that truth alone can be difficult or hard to understand or accept. Just think of the last time you were on the receiving end of a hard truth. No sugarcoating, directly given. It can be a hard pill to swallow. On this solemnity of Jesus Christ, King of the universe, our readings challenge us to consider the truth of Jesus Christ. Throughout his life, Jesus had been rejected by many as the truth. Throughout the Gospels, we hear of the Pharisees, the scribes, and the chief priests who have a difficult time accepting the truth of Jesus as their Messiah. They truly failed to encounter him in both his word and his life, in his truth and his story. And then today we hear of the judgment scene with Pilate, who was simply dumbfounded by the truth. It didn't make sense. Pilate, far less concerned about the religious truth of Jesus' life, and yet unable to comprehend the truth of Jesus as King of the Jews. Pilate, and likely many others in authority, were less concerned about the truth and more worried about how his story threatens their positions of power and privilege. I wonder if we too sometimes have a hard time accepting the truth of Jesus, especially when it comes too directly at us, or maybe even more so when it threatens our comfortable way of living, our privilege, and our authority. We need the truth to be connected to Jesus' story, in part because this is how Jesus chooses to be revealed to us. I believe that's why it's right for us to celebrate this feast at the end of the church's liturgical year. Just think, over the past 52 weeks, we have been listening and remembering the entire life, the truth and story of Jesus, from his incarnation to his resurrection, and how so many others around him came to believe in him, follow him, because of the radical ways in which he chose to share his life with the poor, the marginalized, the outcast, and the forgotten. His life, his combination of the truth and story, inspired many to come to believe that he was their Lord, he was their King. And even though today's scriptures may have focused on the otherworldly aspect of Christ's kingship, we have experienced Jesus through story, not only in the scriptures and the Eucharist, but in the lives of each other. If we've been paying attention, we see Christ the King in each other. The truth of Jesus' kingship and kingdom is connected to the way he chose to live his life. And it is by his actions and love that we have come to know and understand him, to follow, to trust that he is the way, the life, and the truth. Ultimately, on this solemnity of Jesus Christ, King of the universe, we are asked to consider how we have come to understand the truth as encountered through the life and story of Jesus. His kingship is not the ultimate monarch crowned on a faraway throne, but rather his kingship is a story of one who seeks the lost, binds up the injured, and heals the sick. A king who models mercy, love, justice, service, and sacrifice. As we come to the end of this liturgical year and prepare to enter the time of Advent, let us consider how we have come to accept or reject the truth, how we have allowed the story of Jesus to transform us more closely to the truth, and how we are called to bind his truth and his story to our own. In doing so, building up the kingdom of justice and truth.